Hey everybody, my name is Destin, and today we're going to be talking about my absolute worst commission experience ever. Well, so far, actually. Anyways, I've been selling commissions since about 2018, which is an absolutely insane amount of time because the passing of time kind of makes me feel like I have the identity structure of a goldfish or a cat with -2 brain cells. But despite that, okay, I've sold many commissions throughout my time as an artist, and I expect to do many more as I continue my artistic career. But with all jobs, there's always going to be some odd customers, and maybe even some like straight. And I'm going to tell you guys a story of the one that I think takes the cake for being the absolute worst commission so far. So back in 2020, 2021-ish, maybe 2022, I don't know, around that time, I was dealing with a lot of bullshit, okay? I was adjusting to my life as all of the sudden my invisible and undiagnosed disabilities became not so invisible, and I was diagnosed with a bunch of physical and mental health issues. So I lost my sales position and started selling my commissions full-time in order to make some kind of money. Because I don't know about you, but I like to eat. So, yeah, I kind of wanted to survive. But it was not going well, okay? I lost my sales position. I was doing these full-time commissions, but I was not actually selling any. I was really not doing well financially, and on top of the financial and health stress, I was trapped in a bad relationship that was taking a pretty serious toll on my health, finances, and emotional well-being. So overall, I was not doing good. And my friends at the time knew this. And I'm not saying all this just to complain. I promise that it's actually relevant to the story. But basically, I was going through a hard time and a dry period in commissions. So an online friend, who I didn't know too well personally, but we had been talking in a server together and were in the same community for a while, decided she wanted to help me out of the kindness of her own heart. How sweet. How kind. How wonderful. What a sweet person, you know? I was like, hey, I will make you a portrait commission out of colored pencils, and I will give you the best commission that I possibly can, okay? And she was like, let's color R for anonymous stake. Decided to pay me $60, which I know it's undercharging. Don't tell me, okay? Don't yell at me about it. I know I was undercharging, but that's just how it is, okay? When you just start making art, you can't really price what you're actually worth. But anyways, okay, I wasn't as familiar with the commission process at the time, but I got this colored pencil portrait commission, and I was really excited, like, really excited, okay? I was so ready for this commission. I was ready to be able to eat, and pay my bills, so I took my time, you know? I took my time working on that commission. I tried really hard to challenge myself to make it the best possible commission yet. I spent hours sketching out the portrait and then carefully laying the colored pencils to make a portrait that I think R would love. And when I finally finished, I was right. She fucking loved it, you know? I was like, oh yay, you fucking love it. Right, awesome, great, commission approved. She approved of the final piece, and couldn't wait to get it sent to her, you know? So I was excited, I was happy, and it took me about a week to get the commission to the post office, and see how much shipping was going to be to send her her artwork. So preemptively, I told her that I expected the shipping to be around $15, since that's how much it had been for other commissions of a similar size to go overseas. But when I walked up to the counter and told the clerk my client's address, the clerk's eyes got fucking huge, and she was like, are you sure you want to pay this much for shipping? And turned around the monitor so I could see what it was, and it was $218. $218 for a fucking piece of paper to ship wherever? I'm sorry, that's way too much. I was shocked. And that was like the lowest price that they could offer me. That was 4 times the price of the actual commission. I was so shocked. And I kind of like awkwardly laughed. And I was like, I can't afford that. Can you? The clerk was laughing. She was like, no, I'm definitely not paying that much. But anyway, I text my client. I'm like, hey, your shipping is going to be like $200 over what was estimated, since you live in a different country and it's like hard to ship or something. I don't know. It's not my problem. It's not my fault that the shipping's expensive. It's not like I set the shipping prices, and it's your job as a customer to pay the shipping if you want your product to ship. I just make pretty paintings, okay? So anyways, I sent a receipt of the shipping estimate over DMs, and she was also shocked and couldn't imagine why it was so expensive, and asked if we could find an alternative shipping solution for her. And I told her, I would try my best to find something that would work for her. And over the next few days, I checked discount shipping sites to see if there was any cheaper alternatives. But there wasn't. She was going to have to pay $200 for her painting, which sucked, but it wasn't my fault. Like, that's just kind of how shipping works, I guess. So I told her that after a few days of trying to figure something out, and I offered to give her a high-resolution scan of the image digitally so that I could send it to her in an email and she could print the art out herself or use it online as a profile image, because that's what she originally wanted to use it for anyways. And she didn't respond to that offer, and eventually we actually had a falling out before we ever actually determined what to do with her finished commission. She never really followed up on an update for it. So we had this falling out because I didn't agree with her on some of her behavior. She was kind of bullying people, and I didn't agree with it. So I told her I didn't want any hard feelings, but I didn't really want to be in her server anymore. And she told me to just forget about the drawing and that she has pictures of it and she doesn't want it anymore. And I was like, okay. You don't want it anymore? I mean, that's fine. Like, we don't have, I don't know. That's fine. I'll just keep it, I guess. But like, I had already done the work and she had already paid me for the work. She just didn't pay me to ship it. Which was like the problem, right? So like, okay, whatever. You don't get your drawing then, I guess. Well, she's a bit of a vindictive person, especially the people she doesn't like. And that's why I didn't want to be friends with her anymore. But a few months after the commission had already been finished and we were no longer friends, she started telling people that I scammed her and never gave her any artwork, while also simultaneously changing her profile picture on her YouTube to the picture of the art that I had made for her. I was like kind of appalled, honestly. I just ignored her. I was like, whoa, what? Because I knew what kind of person she was, and I knew she was just trying to be mean and like ruin my account and cause some drama, and I wasn't gonna try and feed into it. But then she started sending me like hundreds of emails and messages calling me a scammer and a bunch of other heinous shit, and asking for all of her money back, a full refund for everything I had done for her. I blocked her emails and ignored her for like weeks, but then I started getting messages through PayPal itself. She starts sending me requests for a refund for like $75 to get her money back for the artwork, and every time I denied her request, she would just send me another one with a harassing text attached to the message. I didn't even know that you could send messages through PayPal. But like, allegedly you can, because she did every day for months. It got so annoying. And I'm going to admit, I was younger. I was not as well thought out. I didn't think about the consequences of my actions, okay? And I was very immature, okay? And I decided to get some revenge. Probably not a great idea, but I'm not the smartest cookie in the tin. So, don't do this. Just listen to how stupid I was and be like, wow, that was stupid. Why'd you do that? And I'll be like, I don't know. Just listen to the story because I'm stupid. Anyway, I decided to do some revenge, okay? I shouldn't have, but me and my friend, who is now my partner, signed her up for some random email newsletters. So her inbox would just be full of spam newsletters because she kept harassing me from that email. So I just was like, okay, you're going to give me your email? Well, I'm going to sign it up for a bunch of newsletters. Enjoy. Obviously, like, that didn't hurt her. It was just kind of annoying, and she had to unsubscribe from a bunch of spam emails. But, like, kind of pissed me off. I was just trying to get her back. But after that, I left her alone. I didn't bother. Like, I was not gonna give her a refund for art that I did do. She was paying me for a service. That's what a commission is. You pay for a service. You pay for the art to be made. It's not my fault she didn't want to pay the shipping, and it's not my fault the shipping was way too expensive for her to afford. Art is a luxury. Not my fault you can't afford it. So the funniest part was that she was using it as her profile picture and saying that I never made the artwork. Because I had sent her like a decent image of the artwork that she had just cropped and used as her profile picture. So I didn't even need to do a scan. She just helped herself. But it got worse, if you can imagine. So I used to have a smaller YouTube channel with like a decent following in a select niche talking about mental health experiences alongside my art. And I had made some friends with some bigger creators that I was in the process of working on a collaboration event for Halloween with. I was super excited about it, but this was a few years ago now. I'm not sure if any of those individuals even remember this, but I'm sure at least one of them does. So R decided to get one of her friends to collaborate with her and convince these two larger creators that I had actually, like, scammed R and that I hadn't created any artwork and I just pocketed the money and ran. And one of those creators ended up blocking me without hearing my side at all. And the other one ended up messaging me and threatening me by saying that she would feel obligated to make an expose video on me if I didn't end up refunding R for the total commission. I told the creator that I had in fact made the artwork and she was actually using it as her profile picture, and the only reason that R hadn't received the physical copy was because she couldn't afford shipping to her country. And I had offered her a digital version of the artwork and showed all the screenshots that I had that could back everything up I was saying. And this creator still ended up saying that even though I had made the physical artwork and done the service that I was required to do, that I still needed to refund her since she didn't receive the physical copy. And that if I didn't agree to totally refund her, she was going to have to talk about it on her channel. And since she was a way bigger creator than me, I kind of felt that I had no other choice. So I ended up paying R back $60 for the commission. And she continued to use the portrait as her profile picture. I was like rightfully pissed. But it actually does have a happy ending because I still had the art piece. And I didn't want all that work to go to waste. So I decided to make a new art piece out of R's discarded portrait. Since R was trying to take down my account and do all this other heinous shit behind the scenes, which is a whole other series of videos that I'll never make, I cut up the portrait of her face until it was unrecognizable and placed the pieces in like a new face shape with horns and horrible goo pouring out of her face and nasty teeth and just an overall monster vibe to the drawing. And that piece actually sold for over $200 just a couple months later to someone who also wanted to piss her off. So in the end, my worst commission kind of turned into my first multi-$100 original artwork, and it genuinely made me so thrilled to know that if it was going to someone who would actually appreciate it a lot more than R ever would. So I guess anyways, what I learned from that experience is to always hold your boundaries when it comes to refunds, okay? If your customer approved the art, they said, yes, I like this finished art piece, I can't wait to get it, they don't get a refund. The most I should have refunded is the $15 for the shipping that she paid for in advance and then didn't end up getting because she couldn't afford the total shipping cost. I shouldn't have refunded the full commission, despite pressure from an outside party who I feel like honestly didn't really understand the complete details of the situation and wasn't even an artist, so they didn't even understand how commissions worked. This leads me into always make a terms of service and make sure that your clients, even if they are friends with you, okay, they need to understand your terms of service before they ever commission you. Make it clear what your refund policy is. For example, mine is that I don't give refunds on commissions that have already been started. If you want to cancel a commission in the middle of it, you're going to have to pay for the work that has already been done. Because when you purchase art for an artist or from an artist, you are paying for a service. And if there's a verbal agreement that you are happy with the service that was provided, you are definitely not eligible for any kind of refund. The only time full refunds are applicable is if I personally decide I don't want to do the commission and I haven't started it at all. Or if I haven't started the commission and you decide to cancel. As soon as I start sketching, you're paying me for my time. Also, my experience and skills that have taken me years to learn. And that comes to my third point. Don't undersell yourself and don't underestimate shipping costs. Those are on your customer. Unless you explicitly state otherwise that you offer free shipping, shipping costs are the burden of the purchasing party. I personally am not required to give a refund if your shipping cost isn't the same as someone who lives in the same country as me. It's not something that is in the artist or the consumer's control. It's not part of the artist's responsibility to cover shipping costs for your artwork, especially if they don't explicitly state that they cover shipping costs. If you can't afford a high shipping cost, consider purchasing a digital artwork so that you can bypass the shipping experience altogether and just print it yourself. There are also great sites like Pirate Ship that offer discount shipping services, but it can still be costly, especially overseas into other countries. Just remember that art, okay, especially having physical art purchased directly from an artist, is a luxury that most people can't afford. So if you purchase a physical painting or drawing or art piece from someone, you can expect to pay shipping and not have the artist cover it unless they offer free shipping. But even those are usually only covered in select areas. Anyways, that's my worst commission ever. I think it actually turned out in the best way possible. I learned a lot from the experience. And even when crazy things happen to me, I always think it's the universe just trying to teach me something, and I'm always doing my best to grow and learn from every experience. If you guys liked this story, let me know if you want more stories from me by commenting down below, leaving a like, and maybe draw the subscribe button a demon portrait to show how much you care. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. Check out my Ko-fi and my VGen for commissions and digital assets. Or you can get some amazing art prints to decorate your home with, and even consider buying an original painting like this one on my Etsy. And that's all for now. I will see you guys in the next video. Alright guys, welcome to the absolutely top secret part of the video. This is this top secret ending, so don't tell anyone that you made it this far. But
Thank you for making it to the end of the video. I'm going to real quick give you guys an update about something I'm working on that I'm really excited about. I'm going to be actually making a webtoon about my own personal experiences in a toxic relationship, and I think it's something that needs to be talked about because queer domestic violence is not something that's touched on in a lot of circles. There's a lot of stigma around it and a lot of stereotyping, so I want to write my own personal experiences. I've also always wanted to make a comic before, and I believe this is a great short story to start with because it talks about mental health and awareness, and that's a huge part of my life, is raising awareness for those types of things. So if you guys want to see the behind the scenes process, get updates like works in progress, drafts, and see all the juicy details behind the scenes, you can subscribe to my Ko-fi as a member. And if you donate, I think it's above $5 a month, you get exclusive access to works in progresses and behind the scenes access to content before anybody else gets to. So if you guys are interested, make sure you check that out, and I will see you guys in the next video.